In this video, we're going to unpack why the redemption is not only a process, but it's the collective progressive victories of the Jews that are actually the bricks of the Tower of David. So let's dive in. You see, this week we read Parsha Haazinu, the song, the final song, chapter 32 of Deuteronomy, where Moses gives his message, his final song for the completion of all his work. But the prophets we read is from 2 Samuel 22, and this is King David's final song. And the final verse in the final song says, Migdal Yeshua's Malkai, the tower, the fortress of the redemptions of the kingship. What does this mean? King David is telling us something, a prophecy, that the final redemption won't happen at once. So here's the question. Why is it that the only chapter in all of Psalms, which is repeated as a prophecy, is Psalms 18? Incidentally, 2 Samuel's chapter 22 is what we read in 2 days in synagogue. Parsha Haazinu, we're going to read the final song of King David. So let's break it down. Let's dive in. First of all, one of the few differences between Psalms 18 and Samuel's 22 is the final verse. In Psalms, it says, Magdil Yeshua's Malkai. And we say this every week, every day. If we ever eat bread, the grace after meals, we're going to say this verse. But there's a difference between the grace after meals that we say during the week and on Shabbat. And we read this verse differently. During the week, we say God increases the redemptions for the kingship. On Shabbat, when we say grace after meals, we say a tower is the redemptions of the kingship. What's the difference? So let's go ahead. The Yalkut Shimoni asks this question. And before I tell you what the Yalkut Shimoni answers, I want to give you one more question. You see, prophecy has to be for everybody. And there's a reason why this word was changed, and a reason why every time we say grace after meal, we have to decide, are we going to be reading from Psalms like we do during the week, or are we going to read a prophecy like we do on Shabbat? So let's dive in. Yalkut Shimoni asked this question, Rav Yudin asked this question, the Midrash, and says the following. During the week, when we say Magdil Yeshua's Malkai, what we're saying is that God increases the redemptions at the end of times. And he says in these words to teach us that the redemption will not happen in one day. It won't happen bevat achad. It won't happen immediately. What will happen will be stages. Magdil Yeshua's Malkai. God will increase and have stages of redemption after redemption after redemption, and they will be progressive and they'll get greater. And then on Shabbat, we take the collective redemptions that we had during the week, and that becomes the Tower of David. Wow. I want to bless you all that this Shabbos and all of us should come together, that when the final redemption will happen, it will be the collective redemptions that we all have. You see, every day we go out of Mitzrayim. We go out of Egypt. That's why we say so many times throughout our prayers, throughout our grace after meal, mention the redemption from Egypt. It's so important because the redemption from Egypt is something that we personally go through on an emotional level, on a physical level. God saves us in so many ways. And all those saviors are what the bricks of the temple looks like. Shabbat every week, when we go into Shabbat, we're going into 1/60th of Olam Haba. The light that God hid in beginning of creation stayed with us on Shabbat. And we use that light to bring light onto the week. So this week, the week where Sukkot starts, and we begin to go outdoors, and we sit down in a tent where the only shade from the rain and from the sun is God. It's the psoles goren v'yekov. It's the straw. It's the husks, the things that we're not using from the wheat. And that, my friends, is recognizing that the unity of Klal Yisrael, when the Jews, all 12 tribes come to Eretz Yisrael, and each one of us have our own things, our own redemptions that we have on a daily basis. Those redemptions are what the bricks of citadel of David is. And I invite you, my friends, this year when you build a sukkah, have in mind the unity of Klal Yisrael, because that's what really is the Migdal of Yeshua's Malkai. David HaMelech, King David, had a very difficult life. His son tried to kill him. So many people, his father-in-law tried to kill him. Everybody. He ran and he had a difficult life. It wasn't King Shaul who had what seemed like the tzaddik attitude. And the tzaddik attitude who doesn't sin, that was Rachel Imenu, who died on the way. Yes, we need to have tzaddikim in the world. But like Eob said, Barasa tzaddikim, Barasa Rishaim. Eob said, God, you've created righteous people and you've created wicked people, and God didn't answer him. Yes, the Yeshua, the redemption, will come in stages. And today, God is awakening the hearts of all of Klal Yisrael and all of the Jews around the world, in every corner of the world, to come back to the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let our nation be a light to the world to show our dedication and our love for God. Shavua Tov, Shabbat Shalom, Good Yantif.